Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to LiveStream on the Moonshine, number 316. This is going to be part B. We are on part 23, I think, of the letter, is that right? 24? This is part 24. So, we are continuing to play the point of view of Ash, who's a really good guy, has a big heart, is being pulled in multiple directions. He really likes Isabella. And we found out that Isabella doesn't really like him in the same way that she likes Zach. However, the good friend and neighbor of Isabella, Rebecca, he tends to like Ash and love him with a childhood love that they've had since they started growing up. And they were close friends as kids. So we kind of see the way the feelings go here, much like real life. That's one reason one of the many reasons I like the writing in this visual novel. But everybody now is seeing and experiencing the absolute fear and horror of this zombie woman thing that keeps popping up. And it seemed to be deriving from this haunted mansion that was just sold by Isabella because she's a real estate agent. And she sold it to a rich couple. Hannah's a very nice woman, is one of the buyers of the haunted mansion recently. And then her husband Luke is about the most despicable SOB you can imagine, who gets drunk often, gets on other women and tries to cheat on his wife, or does cheat on his wife, and basically just treats everybody like absolute dog shit. So, we're going to go ahead and get back into Ash's point of view of the letter. And I know that we were busy trying to basically ease things out we were playing Ash, and we were gonna go and see Zach, I believe, with Isabella. We were waiting for her, and all of a sudden Rebecca made a call. We were worried about her because we tried to call her early in the morning and there was no answer. So I remember this from Rebecca's point of view, though, and it wasn't quite as dramatic because she wasn't worried about what was going on. We knew what was going on. But with Ash, he doesn't know what the heck's going on, so he's been worried sick about his good friend, Rebecca. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and continue with our playthrough of the story we left off last night at 3:22 a.m. Alright. So this is his ringtone for his phone. Alright. So Rebecca's name is blinking on the screen beside me. Isabella Steers waiting.
It's Becca. I'll tell her to meet us at Salem Well as soon as she can. Excuse me.
And without another word, I slip out of the car and answer the call. However, the tone she assumes isn't what I'm hoping to hear. Uh-oh.
Are you there?
Ragged, a bit out of breath, there's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side of the line makes it seem like she just ran a marathon prior to this call. Yeah,
Becca, where?
I got your message. What happened?
We just played Rebecca's point of view back in, I think it was part 16 through 20 or something like that. And part 20, we had to take 2 routes to keep her alive. She was in the library also trying to research information to try to find out what the heck's going on with this zombie thing. And the zombie thing got onto her, and she was stuck in the library and had to escape. When I stayed upstairs, because I figured just running out the main doors would be the safer route, because, you know, running out the main doors is too easy, she ended up losing her life. And it was a really sad ending. If you missed part 20, you definitely should go back and listen to that, because it'll break your heart, where she thought she was, or she knew she was going to die because the thing was up on the roof after her, and she chose to not let this thing kill her, and she chose to take a step off the roof, off the edge of the roof, and before she did, though, she made the same callback to Ash to basically tell him goodbye, and it was heartbreaking. And then she took the plunge. So we lost Becca. I was like, I'm not, if there's another way, I'm not going to have it. So I went back and made the choice to stay downstairs and just run up the doors. And we was able to do some quick time events to keep her alive. Speaking of that, she said, I got your message. What happened? We're going to go in here, guys, just because gameplay. All right. We're going to quick the skip time events just in case we have any more. Just because I feel like it takes me a couple of times to do those, and I feel like it kind of interrupts the normal flow of the story. And it's also really late here, so I don't want to bother with that. So I'm going to go ahead and... Oops, wait a minute. Let's skip those and then apply. There we go. Alright, so Becca says, I get your message. What happened?
Nothing. Well, Zach's in a bit of a tight spot right now.
Define tight spot in this context, Ash.
Yeah, because she just basically survived a life and death moment against this thing.
I'll tell you about it later. There's nothing we can do about it now. Where are you, by the way?
Home, I had to make a quick visit to the library. Listen, Ash, about that thing Isabella has been talking about. There's something you guys need to...
Please tell me you didn't... Whatever.
Wow.
Save it for later. We'll meet you there. This is... related to that.
Is Isabella with you?
Yeah, she insisted to come with me.
And with a quick press of the button, I switch on the loudspeaker to step closer to the window on Isabella's side. I hold up the phone towards her, giving it 2 shakes, urging her to speak. She's still carrying a curious look on her face. It's already bordering on worried, actually. This should ease that.
Rebecca's asking for you.
Becca? Is she okay? Hey, Becca!
Aww.
Hey, Belle, what's happening over there? Is there something I should be worried about?
Becca, it's Zach! He's...
We'll tell you once we get there. It's not something we should discuss over the phone.
I don't like the sound of
I
that.
don't like the sound of that, Ash. But, alright.
Yeah.
And please, hurry.
Gotcha. Give us a few minutes.
She mumbles a goodbye and then hangs up. Becca's the last person I need to account for, yet that call left something strange in the air. Thankfully, we don't have to linger in it for too long. The drive back to Salem Well only takes a matter of moments. We find her pacing in front of Isabella's room, hands clasped tightly in front of her as she treads a small space offered by the hallway. The second she looks up, Isabella clings to her. Aww.
I'm so glad you're okay. Ashton checked on you this morning, but...
He did? I'm sorry, I was in a hurry. I didn't have time to drop by and let you know.
It doesn't matter. What's important is you're here.
Yep. Not burnt to a crisp or brutally murdered somewhere. Whole and alive. Boy, this is heartwarming. This is really making me appreciate the fact that I decided to go back and play Rebecca's alternate route in the library and keep her alive. Because if Ash and Isabella now would have found out that she had died to this horrible thing and taken the step off the library to get away from it, this would probably be really heartbreaking right now. Isabella would probably be in tears. Ash would be a total mess. Yeah. So we kept Rebecca alive by playing that alternate route back when we was playing Rebecca's point of view. So thank God for that. Although she seems a bit shaken, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But the point is now, or the important thing now is, what is everybody going to do about this? And are we going to be able to keep everybody alive? That we don't know. At least now I can relax, ease the pressure off my shoulders, if only by some. There's still that problem with Zach. But the minute Isabella pulls away from her, she winces. A small reaction, the younger woman doesn't even catch it. It sets a precedent for a careful observation, nevertheless. A closer look at her reveals a much more disheveled than usual. Hair in a bit of a mess, probably flattened in a hurry. The back of her dress also shows stains of dirt in places it rarely gets into. She's also leaning more on using her left arm, and she's right-handed. Perhaps the most telling is the slight limp she has, noticeable once Isabella leads us into her apartment. It all sprouts a hatful of questions. What exactly happened, and how she ended up in that state? Pretty sure a simple trip to the library won't do that. But she never gives me a chance to bring it up. The second we're seated in the tiny living room, she gets straight to the point and asks about Zach. Typical Rebecca.
All right, no more suspense. What happened to Zachary? And I don't want the two of you to mince words. Tell everything as it is.
They arrested him, Becca.
Arrested? As in the police?
Yeah. Ashton just heard about it this morning.
Her eyes quickly zero in on me, and at the raise of her eyebrow in question, I quickly fill her in on what happened. From the moment I've gotten the news down to the very person at the root of this trouble, the very person she's been friendly with from the start. She falters the second I drop Scumbag's name, disbelief all over her features.
Are you sure it's him? This must be a mistake.
Yup,
No.
quite sure it's the bastard we saw at the precinct, in all his pompous glory.
What was Zachary even doing in the mansion? Breaking and entering? Are you kidding me? I know Zachary can look a bit intimidating at first glance, but he's not the kind of person who will do those things.
Right, and that's why Isabella and Ash both took up for him. Isabella poured a cup of water over Luke, and Ash kind of broke the silence and screamed at him right in front of his leading officer.
That's exactly what we told the police, but they won't listen. Apparently they caught him in the act.
Of course they won't. They're up against Wright's smug face, for fuck's sake. He's the one who has the money.
Mm.
There must be something we can do to help him.
I'm still up for kicking his ass if anyone's asking.
Not that. Anything but that.
Oh, come on, you threw water at him. At least let me score.
We need something that'll help, Zach. If you really want to hurt something, go punch the wall or your face.
Go punch a wall or your own face.
I'll talk to him.
Immediately, all the banter in the room stops, and we both turn to her.
Talk to who?
Luke, I'm sure he'll see reason.
And she wastes no time. Ignoring her limp, she gathers the things and stands up, ready to leave. I grab her arm before she can walk past me, carefully to avoid hurting her, in case there really is an injury here. Seems like it at first glance, but you can't be sure until after a careful examination has been made. I suspect some bruising at least, although minor internal fractures aren't out of the question. They have a nasty way of staying hidden. But that possible injury is the least of my problems right now. Not when she's likely planning a march into the Ermengarde mansion just to talk to the guy. And I have a slew of opinions about that plan. Do you really think he'll listen? Do I say that, or do I say don't be rash? We're gonna ask her. We're gonna trust her a little bit as a friend, and say, well, you know, what kind of makes you think he's gonna listen? I don't know what kind of two different paths this takes, but we're gonna do this.
Do you really think he'll listen to reason?
We won't know until we try, will we?
I just don't see why she thinks this is a good idea. He was at the party. He saw how the man acted when put on a damn spotlight that shines on everything negative about him.
Becca, believe me, he's not the kind of person who will. The only thing he'll listen to is the sound of his own voice.
He's getting upset. I wonder what our relationship is like now with Becca. Went down a little bit. Isabella's relationship between him and Ash has went up quite a bit. It's even higher than Zachary now. Wow. That's improved a lot. The relationship between him and Isabella has went up a lot. And Rebecca and Ash's relationship is strained now.
I've spoken to the guy, Ash. He can be difficult, but he's not as unreasonable as you think.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Did it ever occur to you that maybe, just maybe, this might be some sort of misunderstanding?
He just filed a case against Zach this morning.
Well, I'll make him take it back.
It's not as simple as you think. That man believes what he's doing is right.
What do you want me to do then? Just stand around and wait for some miracle that'll get Zach out of that cell?
No, I want you to leave it to me and let me handle this.
You're not the only one who can do things here, Ash. Quit playing the damn hero, you're not.
Damn.
You should be thankful someone's even trying to help. This is like that bloody letter again. You kept ignoring people's warnings, and now that we're probably in deep shite, you're taking it all on yourself. Why
Yeah.
can't you be glad that people are trying to help you out?
How? By running blindly into things? All I want is for you to be careful.
I know what I'm getting into, Ashton.
That arm injury and the limp tell a completely different story.
Yeah, he's right there.
Please tell me you did not just do something dangerous today.
It was just a trip to the library. Besides she caught me off guard. What, did you think I went looking for her with a book in hand? I'm not stupid, Ash. And I'm not just going to stand around while my friend's in jail. I won't let that bloody ghost do whatever she wants to us either. If you can't accept that, feel free to stay the way you are.
He pauses, anger briefly subsiding, and then quietly.
You're lucky no one has died yet.
Yeah, including her.
You're the one who kept brushing all of this cursed thing off. In fact, you're the one who dismissed Isabella first.
Yeah? Well, she's throwing some harsh blame out there. It's blame that Ash already feels guilty about, trust me. The last one feels like a slap in the face, really. Rebecca has a knack for being brutally honest with her opinions. We've often clashed at times, yet I respect her for it. Her opinion is still very valuable as every other person's I've let into my life, and this time she is right. I've made a huge mistake. But damn it, I'm trying here.
And you didn't? Back at the movie house, you were agreeing with me.
Yeah?
Becca, Ash, that's enough! Please. It's not his fault. Not anyone's.
Everyone's still safe, alive. We can still get Zach out. It's not too late. There's other stuff we should be focusing on. So please, just stop. Both of you.
Isabella's a sweetheart, and she's, dead right.
She still should have ran. That woman's not something she can hit with a book. Same thing goes with Wright.
Believe me, Ashton, I did. Then a bloody cart came out of nowhere. Do you have any idea how painful being hit with one is? But you know what? If it weren't for a damn book, you wouldn't be yelling at me right now.
Damn.
I would be dead.
A sobering silence descends in the room. Instantly, both of our anger has been tempered, as the gravity of that one word, hits the three of us hard. Yep, I'm saying she would be dead. Dead. Another close call. Another would have. Another one we've narrowly avoided. Yeah, another one we've narrowly avoided because I chose to go back and reroute the path of the story with the choice she made. How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't just cracked yet. After all, she was the one who found that damn letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, calm and composed in the face of this, is what cuts through the thick air.
I'll go get a cold compress for that arm. You guys take a seat first. Ashton and I, we have a lot of things to talk about. But no more fighting, okay? If one of you starts another round of it, I'm going to drag the two of you out by your ears.
And that marks the end of it, at least for the time being. And as soon as Isabella returns and hands Rebecca the cold compress she's promised, we get straight down to business. Surprisingly easy, considering the rigid air in the room. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam once we found last night has been put on the table. All at once, everything we brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed have been laid out for close scrutiny. Our own encounters with the woman, Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears, the dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us, everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be. Logic be damned. Or at least, that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Now it's in the evening on Sunday. Yet, even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of the late afternoon, and eventually night, none of this still makes a fucking damn bit of sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we even started. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the sheets of paper I've been holding smacks the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and everyone simply falls silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th time since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet. Ash, please. Zach wouldn't want us to give up on this.
It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of the optimism right now, I guess. Too bad Z-Man's better at this than I am.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper right before the open house. No one was allowed inside that place for a time that day. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean Marie.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Maybe there's something more to this.
What do you mean?
Becca makes a vague gesture at the paper she's brought, and then crosses her arm and leans back in her seat to glare at it. The way she's staring at it, you'll think she wants to set the entire stack on fire.
Apparently, there was some stuff that people haven't been telling us.
You mean our own teachers have been lying to us all this time?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Quietly, Isabella reaches for one of the papers Rebecca has brought with her and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newsprint from even before the city was founded. Her eyes narrow with each line it passes, but lingers at the illustration of the noble woman's servant.
Why do they have to keep this in the restricted section?
Yeah, good question. Rebecca merely shrugs at her inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her answer.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it. Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Why else would these tell a completely different story? Revisiting what's written seems a useless endeavor on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. Thanks to those, we're also missing a lot of things here, and there's still a gap. A huge one. Even with the information we currently have right now, it still feels like there's something we're overlooking here. All we have to go on is the mansion, the letter, and all the stuff selfish people have been keeping from the public. But what else? At present, everything seems to point to where this all started. The Ermengarde mansion. Will bringing the letter back there fix everything? Fuck. How do I... The mansion's a private property right now. I can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I think of begging the right to let me in and investigate that place. After what he did to Zach, that's not going to happen. Not over my dead body. One thing's very clear after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my friends alive. A lot of pressure on one dude. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us. And damn it, I hope Zach's safe where they're keeping him. Are there guards stationed at the holding cells 24/7? You can't be so sure. This is a ghost we're up against. Before anything happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for far too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything to sink in, or else we'll all burn out. I know I will, and it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit spoken, it's in their eyes as they look up at me, waiting. We've been at this since the morning. We should take a break for a few. The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. Oh boy. A harsh booming noise rending through the eardrums and everyone in the room. All at once, the two of them are on their feet while I quickly palm for my gun on the table. However, before I could pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket just stopped. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the three of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
Ashton, that might be...
Gather everything.
No questions are asked. They waste no time getting to work, piling up the documents we've been reading through. Even Isabella is unusually silent as she gathers everything in her arms, her own movement sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hardened and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly, the lights go out, and the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles as if something inside begs for freedom. Oh man, this is chilling. This is scary as fuck. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and I release the lock from my gun. I'm no trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this will work on a damn ghost. But right now, it's smooth surface against my palm. But the trigger on my finger provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing, Ashton? Maybe all three of you should just run.
We have everything. We should just...
Yeah, Becca's thinking the same thing. Worried as we both are, they are immediately stopped at the first rise of my hand. But the edge is there while they all huddle in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, they have enough time and space to run from their position. In two deep breaths, I've crossed the room and stood in front of this closet. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Inside, it has now moved to banging at the door. Louder and louder, the longer I delay. Another shallow breath. A glance at my companions. A nod. Something creaks. Oh my god, you hear the heartbeat. Or is that Ash's heartbeat? And then, in the next moment, I'm grasping at the handles and swinging the doors wide open to reveal... nothing. What the fuck? Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it, and still nothing. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whatever or whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards Rebecca and Isabella, only to see them mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure this wasn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up that my head's now making things up. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. This only confirms that we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. In the next second, I'm barking orders and...
We should go. You two, we need to
I'm sent sprawling onto my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. Oh no. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine and the back of my head as it collides against the floor, with force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. Oh man, this is terrifying. This is part of the ending that we've been waiting for, the build-up. Like, how do you fight a ghost-like thing that can disappear and appear at any given moment, at any given time, anywhere in the hell it wants to? It showed up in Rebecca's car while she was driving. It showed up at the library, as we saw, and almost killed Rebecca. It's showing up in Isabella's house. We've seen this thing in so many different places. Like, how do you stop something like this? Right? You have to, if you think you'd have to go back to the source, which would be the Ermengarde mansion. But, yeah, I mean, they've already blessed that mansion, and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, I have no answers here. This is scary, though. Like, we just read that Ash just got tripped up and pain racks his whole spine and the back of his head as it collides against the hard floor with force enough to dislodge his brain from his skull. Man, that's some brute force there, and I think Ash is in trouble here. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision, so he got knocked the hell out. And then, I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles, the smell of vile rot assaulting my nose. Oh no. Nauseating, thickening, a foul smell draining every feeling in my entire body. The moment her horrid laughter, feel as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Perhaps it's just inexperience? Look at that, that's freaking horrifying, man. Or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. That's just evil looking. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, the whole of my body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. It's in the manner of her gaze that bores on me, I'll say. The look of her utter hatred and malice. I've seen it loads of times. From suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be the...
Ashton! Snap out of it!
No! I can't die here. Not yet. The haze fades from my mind and instincts kicks in. Then and there.
Everyone out! Get out! Get out of here!
And with one powerful tug, I yanked my foot out of her grip and scrambled back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wail she fills the room with. So he kicked the crap out of her, and then got up and ran? Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing the wrist of the first person my hand can reach, and leading the two of them out. Into the hallway. Down the flight of steps. And right inside my car. I waste no time flooring on the gas pedal the second the last person closes the door behind them, and in a short while, I'm driving us out of Salemwell. I don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet, even as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. Whew. Wow, that was close. I thought we were gonna lose Ashton right there. I'm not gonna lie. We're going to go ahead and continue reading, guys, into Monday here, because we're only a little over a half hour into this part. So we're going to go ahead and continue with Monday. I know that, usually we stop at the end of the day, but I'm also entertained, and I want to see what the hell's going to happen here. I want to see if they're going to be able to get Zach out of jail. A dreary downpour starts off the Monday, of course. Although it doesn't last more than an hour, the dark clouds lift just after the sun peeks over the horizon. Brief as it is, the rain has significantly dampened the park's usual cheery vibe. Mornings like this often mark the start of another bad week. An arrest gone wrong, another investigation leading to a dead end, or some truly fucked up shit being called in. Like that one time I was dispatched to a scene where a guy gouged his own eyeball out and almost ate it. Oh my god, can you imagine having to go to a scene like that? Jesus. Yeah. A guy gouges his own eyeball out and then almost eats it. Was a few chews away from swallowing it, in fact. I lost my dinner that day. Man.
Fun times.
Yeah, right? Of course, I doubt anything can top getting cursed by a damn shame letter of all things. This is the sort of stupid thing people pass along as a prank through emails and text messages, for fuck's sake. A ghost chasing after you just puts the icing on that cake. So far, all we've done is run, snoop about, read stuff, and run again. It frustrates me to no end how we're still no closer to an answer. Even my car reflects the state my mind is in. Photocopies of documents litter every available surface. Scattered all over the place, spilling from the passenger side and into the back seat, making an entire mess of what little space there is. Not that I'm any better. My last shower was 24 hours ago. I haven't slept at all. And my last meal was that chocolate porridge, the thing Isabella offered me. The way I am now, I'll definitely get a scolding. Rebecca will definitely give me an earful and tell me to take care of myself better. Say that I'm killing myself on the job. I can already hear Isabella complaining how dark the bags under my eyes are getting, and about how I reek and how I need to shower pronto.
I can rest easy when this is all over.
Yeah, no kidding. It's not that I can't feel the pang of hunger. Without that woman chasing after you, it's difficult not to feel anything other than horror. A rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins in my desperation to survive. In fact, I can still sense the ghost of her touch from last night. So in fact, I can still sense the ghost of her touch from last night. Her bony digits wound tightly around my ankle, and that horrid smile she has on her as she pulls me closer to her. The memory's enough to send a shiver up my spine and make me antsy. Perhaps the only thing comforting about this is the sight of my gun nearby. From my dashboard, sunlight glints off Ophelia's surface. Normally I keep it hidden in a compartment. Luxborn police regulation only allows authorized people to carry firearms, and even those are limited. I do have that authorization. But I never really saw the need for its use, when the standard issue tasers are far often more than good enough to incapacitate anyone. If not, I can always throw them on their back. Those judo lessons Dad forced me to get as a kid has its uses as well. On a ghost, though, all of those will probably yield the same result. They're all useless. I might as well use a damn stick. However, it's the feeling of ease I'm after, on what little of it I can gather from it. The awareness that I, at least, have something to protect myself with in case things go wrong. False sense of security is what I'm thinking. That I can still protect the people who are still depending on me despite the missteps that I've taken. It doesn't take the edge off, though. The feeling that your whole body has been strained far beyond its own capacity. Frankly, I'm already running out of steam. The only thing pushing me right now is knowing someone's still depending on me. A stench is still in order, though. I've been sitting here since last night. Soon, I step away from my car, closing it behind me with a thud as I take in my surroundings. The rain did wonders. The morning air feels crisper and cooler than it has ever been in days. For once, the weather seems to be taking a turn for the normal. Luxborn normal. In the distance, beyond the buildings' linings on the horizon, dark clouds are blowing in. Of course, dark clouds are blowing in to the, ending of this whole build. Like, what horror movie doesn't have rain and thunder and storms?
A storm might be due this evening. give or take.
Yeah, I think so, in more ways than one, Ashton. A shame for the people looking forward to Halloween night. I'm just not sure whether this is something I can look forward to as well. Still, I bask in the change it brings. I inhale, I exhale, breathing in, taking in the peace as if it'll be my last. But as with all good things, the quiet shortly comes to an end. Not necessarily a bad end. The chatter reaches my ears first, halting my movements. Sure enough, when I glance up, I find them, Rebecca and Isabella, just as they've entered the park grounds, bags of convenience store food in hand. After last night's flight from Salemwell, we have elected to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will still be safe. Normally, we'd all be adverse to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted that decision. It's not like any of us have gotten an ounce of sleep anyway. On the off chance one of us did, it only lasted about a second, or it's a fitful one. But looking at them right now, from afar, it's easy to mistake them for just a group of friends on a day out. Isabella is gesturing wildly with her arms as she talks. Something funny or amusing, probably, because it's soon followed by Rebecca's giggles. Their voices fill the atmosphere with light air, temporarily easing off the disheartening mood. It's easy to pretend we're not knee-deep in a life-and-death situation the way they're acting right now. Easy to forget one of us is being framed for a crime he likely didn't commit. If anything, it's only their appearance that betrays that mask. Slightly disheveled, bags under their eyes, an exhausted curve in their shoulders, and dragging footsteps. They're tired. But the closer they get, the more obvious these signs are to the naked eye. Rebecca passes an energy drink my way the moment the Aegison allows it. Isabella hands me the other bag she's holding before seating herself on the edge of the fountain. The scent of warm food immediately awaves from the bag when I open it, carried off further by a passing breeze. Whatever sweet sauce they drizzle over this pork wannabe, it smells heavenly. Hell, even the sorry-looking vegetables seem appetizing. Despite myself, even without checking exactly what this is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought, and I dig in without waiting for them to start. Both of them appear to be of the same mind, too. Soon enough, they also start with theirs. No casual talk while we fill our empty stomachs. Exhausted as we all are, food is something we can't forgo. Starvation dulls the thinking and weakens the body. If we are to survive this, if we are going to take care of ourselves first, we need to take care of ourselves first. It's one thing, and Zach will likely remind me if he was here. In a matter of minutes, we're done and dumping the empty cartons on a nearby waste bin. Along with it is a shift in mood. Back to dismal. Back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I've missed these kinds of moments between us. We never had the chance, always busy on some project or work. The things we've taken for granted, now we're realizing just how valuable they are. Well, there's a lot of truth to that, right? It's not until you're worried about your life ending at any given moment that you start realizing all these simple little things like friendship, like close friendship, that you've taken for granted for far too long. A lot of truth in a lot of this. With one of us gone, stuck in a jail cell, the world has an awful sense of humor. While the one we've just had is short-lived, it's another thing I want to look forward to if we ever free ourselves from this damned curse. I'd like to believe there's a way here. For now, we have to focus back on the present. This. Dead people. The letter. The curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but it is necessary.
What now? Where do we go from here?
It's not a question directed at anyone in particular, but they all look to me as if my face has all the answers in the world. Yeah, look at them, both looking at him. I used to think so. back when I was at the top of my game and still aware of everything, or still sure of everything. Now there's just uncertainty sullying whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has simply stopped working here, and we started grasping at straws. Along with exhaustion, fatigue, and stress, we have enough kindling to get a fire burning. The not-so-pleasant kind of fire.
Well, first, we can't just stay here. That much is obvious.
But we can't just keep running like this either, Becca. Sooner or later, she'll...
Yep.
As if we have a choice. We can't even go back to our own homes because that thing might get us. No, we're safe. But dying is the last thing I want to do right now, Isabella. Not to a stupid chain letter you were too gullible to pick up, bring with you, and show to everyone.
More blaming again, Rebecca. I know she's scared and she's frustrated, but she needs to quit throwing out blame on her friends. I mean, bless Isabella's heart that she picked up that letter in that moment. It wasn't like she intended to pick up the letter and bring a freaking horrifying curse to all of their lives.
I didn't do it on purpose.
Exactly.
Becca, had I known, I wouldn't have...
Exactly.
You two. Now's not really the time to be shouting at each other. I'm already getting a headache, so if you guys could calm down, that'd be really great.
Well, isn't that rich coming from you? Whose side are you on, Ash?
Wow.
Why does anyone have to pick a side? You're a rational person, Becca. You know we can't just say it's her fault. She did warn us not to open it, and
That doesn't exempt her from any blame. She's still largely responsible for it.
Oh boy, this is going nowhere. This is what stress does to people, guys. It causes hurt feelings. It causes sharp words. It causes blame to be thrown when it really shouldn't. Like I said, that causes hurt feelings. That causes damaged relationships.
And you're not?
You're not to blame.
I didn't say that! Do you really think I don't blame myself for this as well?
I tried to warn all of you. None of you listened. Now you're blaming me for something I kept telling you guys since day one?
Yeah, she's angry. Look at that face.
You're just as responsible for this as I am.
Yeah.
So now, you're throwing it back at us. We wouldn't even be having this problem if you're...
cut this out, okay? This isn't the time to have some dumb argument.
If you don't want to get caught in it, then stay out of this, Ash.
Oh no, Ash. Don't stop her. Let her say it. I'm sure she has plenty more to say. If I didn't know any better, she's already.
Already what? You want me to say it? Out loud? That I find you in this whole thing?
All right, that's enough.
Yeah.
Both of you, stop this.
They both falter silence at my words, and an awkward, stifling mood descends between the three of us. I do not mean to shout, to snap at them, to add to their kindling. Not in that moment when anytime, anywhere, she might get to one of us. We're all in the same boat, yet here we are, playing the blame game. Little by little, we're falling apart, caving in at the pressure, to the bleak situation that we are trapped in. Did that ghost mean for this to happen? To divide each of us so she could pick us off one by one right after? Who the hell knows? Anything's possible now if her kind can exist. And with a fire burning between us, rising as high as it does right now, I'm afraid. Deathly afraid. But the possibility might come sooner than I can figure all this out. Fuck, I can't even think straight. I can't even believe the next words coming out of my own mouth. That out of everyone, I have to be the one saying these words to them. This is more their forte than mine, keeping the peace, placating everyone, while I unintentionally aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have turned just after one unfortunate incident. How am I even supposed to cope?
If we all want to get out of this mess in one piece, we're gonna have to cool our heads first.
And before my own temper flares, I walk away and slide back into my car. If the door slams with more force than I needed, I'd like to blame it on the pent-up anger boiling up inside of me. I'm not even sure what or who I'm angry at right now. The ghost? At them? Or maybe at myself for being so damn useless. Because despite none of them saying it, I know, goddammit. They're still counting on me. In spite of my own failures, every harsh word I've uttered, or how unbearable I can be as a friend. It's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks, and one by one they follow me and get in the car. It's in concerned glances they shoot my way when I start the engine without a word, and I drive off. It's in their silence, a heavy gift, their unwavering trust. Yet, it's one I'm more than willing to carry, even through my own exhaustion, if only to keep them safe. In this city of 68,000 strangers, they're the ones I have left. Well, in the morning. Though, in all seriousness, a good rest is still in our best interest right now. Thinking with an exhausted brain is almost as good as running around in circles. We might as well just throw ourselves at that ghost and be done with this whole thing. The local Irish pub may not be the best place to hang around when one hasn't slept a wink and you're stressed. More often than not, it's loud. Sometimes the music played by drunkards grates the ears and the whole place smells like piss on a bad day. All in all, it's the very definition of the last place I'll hang around after a wakeful night. But at least it's safe. Or as safe as it can be with chief security watching the place. Makes it easy to find help in case you find yourself in a tight spot. The place being owned by a person I've implicitly placed my trust on provides some semblance of comfort as well. The Gregor, bartender G, or just G to his regular patrons, might be rough around the edges, sometimes a bit too gruff for a man serving drinks behind a counter, but he belongs to the good folk of this city. If there's anyone in this place I can rely on to look after other people that are important to me, it's probably him. He means well. Surprisingly, despite his surly demeanor, he cares to some extent for people he likely only sees once or twice a week on a bad day. Not the best job in the world, in my opinion, but that's exactly it, isn't it? It's wine. In wine, there is truth. Alcohol, in this case. It loosens the tongue. It forces one to let his or her guard down. Whatever inhibitions anyone has, it all flies straight out the window after a few glasses. It has made him observant, too. Always has one or two things to say about someone or something. Most of the time it's me, opinionated ass. God knows how many times I've asked for his help when I've met him with a dead end in a case or I'm in trouble. And this time is no different. So Monday morning in the bar. As expected, the moment we show up, he's kind enough to offer us a room at the back of his shop. A single look at my face, I don't even need to say anything, and the next thing we know, he's leading us in. No questions asked. Maybe it's also for this reason why I find myself drifting towards his station hours later, after I have gotten that much-needed shut-eye. Newly washed drinking glasses and tumblers line the counter surface when I enter the room. Behind the bar, he's busy wiping each of them clean, likely prepping it for tonight's use. Briefly, he glances up at me once I claim one of the empty stools and grab a rocks glass sitting closest to my elbow. Turning it absent-mindedly in my palm, just to keep my hands occupied while my brain's busy, still trying to make sense of everything. Even at a dead hour, with only a few patrons milling about, this place still smells strongly of liquor. Honestly, I've never grown fond of it. Regardless of how many times I've made a trip or sat here on the same spot just talking with the old man. I've never been fond of drinking in the first place. Yet oddly, It's the nasty odor of a brewery that helps clear the mind this time, along with the lack of the establishment's usual hubbub and the occasional clinking of glasses. Even more bizarre is that, through my lack of words, G doesn't say anything. Although it's clear from the way his mouth is curved up in a tight frown that he has questions, a bucket load of it. He wisely keeps it shut. Instead, he simply focuses back on his work, rinse, wipe, stash away, repeat, going through the motions with such a familiarity, it's almost a trance. Watching his precise movements quietly like this, with these thoughts swimming inside my head, it's easy to lose track of everything around me. One solid lead on this, one possible way to sort this out, but will it work? Especially if my assumption's correct that the reason Zach was there yesterday morning was because of this curse. Something must have happened here for him to see the need to look into it and break into that place. What if the couple has fallen victim to the curse? It doesn't fall outside of the realm of possibility. I've been so biased, not even thinking that they might be in danger as well. But during the open house with Isabella, they might have seen the letter and... Fuck!
Stupid. Some fucking detective I am.
That's likely the moment when Cooper saw it. If the logic holds, I need to hurry there right away. And if there are answers anywhere, it would be there. It should be there. Where all of this fucking mess started. It's not only my life on the line here. There are others. What happened to us? I won't wish on anyone else, no matter how much I loathe them. Or how complicated all of this has suddenly become. The letter. The woman. The mansion. And now there are voices lancing venom inside every crevice in my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride whenever an opportunity presents itself.
It's because you didn't listen.
It's all your fault.
Oh my.
Why won't you believe me?
A reminder of what I failed to do and who I failed. At some point, they all began to blur together, twining and coiling. Every horrid image and memory of her, seeking the forefront of my mind. No matter how much I refuse to remember the fear I felt then, to push it as far back as I can, the visions come to me like a deluge. And before I know it, before I can drown, another voice pulls me out of it.
You doing good there, boy?
Oh, bartender. His hand is on my shoulders, gripping it tightly and giving me a light shake. There's relief in his face when I finally look up at him, although his frown appears more distinct than the concern in his eyes. It's deeper now, marred with worry and agitation. He does let go when I offer him a small nod, but the furrow between his eyebrows never leaves his face. He always has a knack for reading people after all, even someone who can be as closed off or distant like me. In all the time I've spent in the forest, there's only one other person who's as keen as this old guy, the chief. Funny and weird to some degree. I pointed it out to him so many times for how much they look alike, only for the observation to be brushed off with a vehement tone. I've never brought it up again after the third time, out of respect for the guy. Whatever it is, it's clear it's something he doesn't want to talk about, right? Why push it, right? However, during times like this, it's impossible for the thought not to come up. He even has the glare down pat. Under his wordless scrutiny, I feel like a damn rookie all over again.
You're looking a bit green. Sure you got plenty of rest back there? You were only out for an hour or two. Wouldn't hurt to try and get some sleep. I'll keep an eye out.
You know, this is probably the best advice. I'm kind of glad they came here to the bar to get to a safe place to get some rest. But I didn't know Ash only slept an hour or two. So this is probably the best advice this bartender G has offered Ash. If he only slept an hour or two, he definitely needs to go get some more rest. as he's already said to himself a few moments ago, like, it's impossible to take on this kind of a tragedy or this kind of a situation, you know, all stressed out, but also sleep deprived. And an hour or two of sleep is definitely not enough. But stress will definitely do that to you. Stress will wake you up continuously. And something else that'll keep waking you up if you're trying to sleep and sleeping well is fear. And you know damn well all three of these people are scared to freaking death right now. Rebecca almost lost her life to this thing. Isabella's seen this thing up close too many times. She's the one who found this damn letter. And she's seen her best friend and the realtor, Rose Cooper, has been killed. So, and Ash now has seen this thing firsthand as well now in the Briarton Realty Company when they were trying to get some of the documents to try to sort through this whole thing. So they've all seen this thing firsthand. They all see how deadly it is. And it's scary. So how could that not keep you awake or keep you waking up if you ever do go to sleep? But yeah, I think G's right. I think he does need to go back and try to get some sleep.
No need. Don't worry about me.
An hour or two of sleep isn't enough, Ash.
I won't be able to get some sleep anyway.
Damn. Not with her face still a clear picture in my head. No.
Dad heard that from you before. Not buying it. What's the story this time?
Yeah, oh, now he's asking what's going on. Oh my.
This as bad as that case with the guy who ate his own eyeball?
This is so much worse, my man. So much worse. Alright.
I wish it were. Jesus, stop reminding me. I hated that case. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you get a kick out of telling people about it.
It's useful, you know, for blokes who don't know their limits.
Yeah? Remind them, hey, if you get too drunk, you might be plucking your own eyeball out of your head with a fork and eating it. Man, that's gross. Best boy ever says these characters would die so fast in a horror movie, right?
Sends them right out the door after I start with a description. Or was it the part when the poor schmuck gouged his eyes out? Nasty, awful, icky stuff, and it gets the job done. Like I said, useful. Don't even need to call security these days if I want to kick someone out. Anyway, pretty sure that pales in comparison to whatever this is now.
Yeah, you're right about that there, bud.
I haven't seen you this stressed out since they closed that case. The one from 10 years ago with your professor friend.
Abigail and her team weren't able to solve that one, G. No one has been able to. It just went cold.
Same difference. But what do I know, eh? I just serve drinks, listen to people's problems and their whining, then make sure they get home safe afterwards. Thing is, I'm also not blind, kiddo. And you can bet your ass I can tell when a person's about to fall apart.
Wow, that says a lot right there. He's saying a lot to Ash right there. He's about to fall apart. I mean, we kind of sense that. We kind of know that.
What? Is this some form of therapy from you? Are you going to offer me free drinks now?
Really, I can use some right now. Something to numb the senses. But when has that ever helped anyone?
In your dreams, kid. Last time someone gave you the hard stuff, your photographer friend had to haul you out of this place almost half naked.
Hey, I can handle my liquor when I put my mind to it.
Not from what I've seen, nope.
That's funny.
Besides, you usually avoid drinking. Either way, it's out of the equation. And when booze no longer counts, we just talk. So, talk. It's not like anyone within earshot will care. That chap over there only wants his cricket matches.
I doubt you believe it, G.
I've heard worse stuff. Try me.
Boy, is he actually going to confide in G? He seems like a good guy, though. But yeah, is G actually going to believe it if he does? That's the question that we have here. Man.
You know that mansion down at Anslem?
Yeah, who doesn't? You live in this town long enough, it's impossible not to hear a thing or two about it. Bloody locals.
Well, my friend found a primitive version of a chain letter in there. Now that we've seen it, we're cursed.
A beat passes. For a long moment, G stands there, unmoving. His hands stop short of pacing the glass he's been wiping prior, back to a rack on his left. So something just tells me that this bartender that is a friend of Ash's Something tells me that this bartender is going to give Ash and, Rebecca and Isabella here, he's going to give them some much needed sanity and advice that's going to help them iron this all out. Something just tells me that this guy is going to be the desperately needed answer they need. But let's see what happens. I don't know. Best Boy Ever says Ashton out here looking like Leon Belmont from Castlevania. Yeah, he really kind of does, doesn't he? It's funny. All while he stares at me with eyes that are nothing short of scrutinizing. He probably assumes that I'm joking. Who wouldn't? Not a week ago, I've been put in the same position. Yeah. Even now, in spite of the things I've seen and heard, it simply won't sink in. Or maybe this is just desperation creeping in. The idea that I may not be able to find a way out of this. Whatever the case is, for people who hasn't experienced what I'm going through, this will merely sound like an awful Halloween prank.
It's not a prank.
This must have been what Isabella felt the whole time we made fun of her on that day that she showed us the letter. Or the letter fell out of her purse. I don't think she showed it to him. I think it fell out of her purse and they saw it.
This isn't a prank! I saw something!
And now, it's too damn late. We're stuck in a never-ending nightmare, where the only way out might be death. And like I've expected G's reaction to it, an amused laughter. It booms throughout the whole pub after a long bout of silence, like I've just told him a particularly funny joke.
Okay.
Oh man.
Good one, kid.
Well, maybe I was wrong about him giving them advice. Yeah, it looks like he's not going to believe it at all.
You don't want to spill. No one's forcing you. Seriously, though. Good one.
Although I want to be angry with him, I just can't find it in myself. I can't even muster the energy for a scowl or even a glare. Nothing but a taste of my own medicine to temper the annoyance bubbling up in me, I suppose. Best Boy Ever says, damn, this literally is like The Grudge and The Ring. Yeah, it kind of is. In the end, echoing her words is the best I can do.
It's not a joke.
Yeah, all right. Good luck with that. You're on your own.
Yeah.
Here, I thought you didn't have an ounce of humor in that body. Guess
Wow.
I'm wrong.
Yeah. He shakes his head, lets out another chuckle before returning to his tasks. But now, almost half the glasses have been put away. The only ones remaining are the smaller kind used for shots and stemmed ones for cocktails. Despite being busy with his task, his amusement does not entirely disappear from his face. He keeps talking as if I'm simply another customer he entertains with his stories. But we both know it's more than that. It's the wistful expression on him that says anything.
Man, can't believe you're the same rookie who walked in here almost a decade ago. Too smart for his own good, that boy. Has always been 2 steps ahead of things. Now he's here, sulking.
I must have screwed up somewhere then.
I must have screwed up a lot. For things to suddenly shift like this, for me to become a mere shadow of the person I used to be?
No, I don't think so. This one, screwed up? Not by a mile. It's too early to say. You've still got several years ahead of you, Holmes. Take it easy. But some things change, eh? It has been years, and you were a kid back then. You know, the sort that's a bit unsure, making all the horrible decisions in life he'd eventually be embarrassed to talk about.
You never stop calling me kid, though.
Well, you still are. It's just that this time, you're sure of who that badge and gun is for. What was it you police types usually say? To protect and serve, yeah?
A significant pause follows at its heels. From both of us, as he allows its meaning to sink in and spur something inside of me, stirring a feeling both heavy and forceful, but not completely unwelcome. Familiar. Though before I can even clarify what he's trying to imply or gather my thoughts on the matter, G turns away to begin his work on the silverware. He'll need those too, once more of his patrons come in for lunch. slow and easy. A sharp contrast with the strained air that we've been wading through these past weeks. A fleeting moment, but one I allow myself to relish in, if only because of its absence lately. The way things are now, this is almost a gift. So when it all ends with the sound of my phone ringing, a sigh is all that leaves me. I placed the damn thing on low volume last night, but it does nothing to keep it quiet. I don't even know if I want to answer the phone right now. It has brought me nothing but bad news after another. Thinking back about it only makes me want to chuck it at the nearest trash can I can find. Not that it'll help things, of course. Another Excel slips past my lips before I pull it out, quickly swiping over the screen without checking the caller ID. Unknown. After all, the ones who will worry or fret over how awful it might sound right now are here with me. My parents never call around this hour, so chances are it's probably just the Chief or Abigail. There's Zach, but he's in a position where connecting with me is impossible. Placed in jail by some scumbag for a crime he likely didn't commit. No use pretending what I'm not, No use pretending what I'm not when it's anything but...
Inspector Frey speaking.
Good morning, sir. Sorry to bother you this early.
What is this about?
It's about your friend, you know? The guy I called you about yesterday, the one they brought in the night before. Zachary Steele.
His hesitant note does nothing to diminish the lump that has suddenly lodged itself in the base of my throat. I hope he's not dead or something. What are the chances? What are the chances that something went wrong while I'm not looking? While I'm out here brooding? Of all things.
How is he? Is he doing okay?
We actually have a problem, Detective Inspector.
Hello. Hasty assumptions aren't a usual fare for my book, but that shouldn't change right now. The precinct is secure, well, it's supposed to be. They have guards manning the station 24/7. If anything happens, all Zach has to do is shout and someone will be there for him. Even if it's a phantom going after him, he should be safe there. He should have been. Yet none of those reassurances will allay my suspicions, and whatever little thread of hope I'm hanging on to fray slowly as each second of silence passes us by. This isn't good. I'm worried. An expectation so weak, so faint, I might as well just let it go and prepare myself for the worst. It's a feeble attempt at optimism I will never get used to. This is out of my depth. This isn't my forte. Zach's maybe. Rebecca's as well. It's never been mine. Hell, this is the kind of mood Isabella has always unknowingly brought with her. What her eyes often conveyed, what I've often found myself searching in her, whenever I look to them. But no matter how many times I repeat any words of comfort or calming images inside my head, a hollow chill at the base of my stomach refuses to ease up. It's not a good sign. He senses something. Even my voice shakes when I urge Officer Renz to speak again, weak and unsteady. The only thing keeping me from stumbling when I'm about to abruptly stand is the counter's solid support behind me, the flat of my hand braced against it for leverage.
Officer Renz. Renz, right? What happened? You're supposed to keep an eye on him, yeah? It's protocol.
Your friend, sir, he's...
Oh boy. No, not Zach.
I think it'd be better if you just saw it yourself, sir. This isn't something you should be hearing over the phone.
Oh boy.
Chief Inspector Lee wants you to report in as well. It's about the case Luke Wright filed yesterday and...
Oh boy. And the rest never registers. Rather, my brain refuses to acknowledge any of it. Not even the possibility that this might just be a terrible joke. All I can think of is a suffocating dread and the piercing noise, white and deafening, ringing in my ears despite the bar's morning hush. There is only Zach. Only the whole expanse of Luxborn separating me from the one person I still believe safe from this whole fuck-up situation we found ourselves in. along with the voices, the vile ones, the whispers that taunt, jeer, and mock. Each vague utterance growing relentless as I make my way out of the bar without another word to G and slide back into my car. Oh boy. That's why ever says a body's been discovered. Yeah, this is like his best friend, so this is, we know Zach well. He's a damn good guy. Driving off with my body on autopilot, mind in a daze, and afraid, utterly afraid, that this time I have permanently lost someone in my life. So now we're in the morning of Monday still. The whole precinct is in an uproar. Officers move in and out from the main work hall with rapid steps. Phones blare loudly from the comms room, and calls are being made from the dispatch area. The rest, who have been left standing, watch the whole commotion with a nervous energy. Oh god. This doesn't sound good, but with this many people all this excited or this clamoring about what's going on. From further back, the chief's voice booms above the uproar. I'm not even shocked. He may appear like a bumbling fool at first glance, but he has kept the city safe for years. For something to happen in his jurisdiction inside his own precinct, right under his nose, he has the right to be royally pissed.
What do you mean you don't know?
Wow.
Don't give me that shite, Sergeant! How can one person, slip past you? You can't even keep an eye on one man!
His statement gives me a pause. Am I wrong? Did Zach escape somehow? I'm not condoning it, neither do I believe Zach's capable of doing, let alone thinking of it. But if that's what's happened, I'll be equally as cross as a chief. This won't help his case. This will only complicate things with Wright and put the both of us in a tight spot. I won't be able to help him once red tape prevents me from doing so. Yet, a hint of relief still washes over me as I walk closer to my boss, mentally preparing myself for whatever reprimand he's about to dish out.
What's happening, Chief?
Except he merely glances at me with an inscrutable expression. Although, if I'm going to read deeper into it, I'll say it's the closest expression he can get to shooting me a pitying look. For the first time in my years on the force, I find myself wishing to hear a reprimand from him. Whatever that stare means, it can't be good. Coupled with Officer Renz's tone this morning, it does nothing to calm the uneasy feeling inside of me. Fuck, boss even seems relieved to see me. After the last few exchanges we've had this past 2 weeks, you'll think a man doesn't want to see me right now.
About time you got in here.
I got caught up in something. Sorry, Chief. What's going on? Is there a problem with Zach?
Oh boy, what's gonna happen? He hesitates for a second before his frown eases with a long, dragged-out exhale.
I'm not sure if you can call this a problem, Frey, but I'll let you be the judge of that.
Oh boy, what's going on? What the hell is going on? That's why Ever says, well, that's better. At least he's not dead, hopefully. Could be even worse. I don't know. I have no idea.
Follow me.
And it looks like Zach's still there. It doesn't look like Zach escaped like he was first thinking. Something fucked up is going on with Zach. Like, is he fucking standing up foaming at the mouth? What's going on here?
And you, I want your full report about this by the end of the day. It better be good or you are kissing that badge goodbye.
Damn. The officer he's addressing, the sergeant, a man in his late 20s or 30s who transferred here last year, shrinks back in his chair. I don't quite remember his name. I've only seen him quite a number of times since I am often out of the precinct. But if my memory serves me right, he's the guy currently assigned to a late night shift, at least until this month ends. Depending on how bad this is, he'll either be given a verbal warning, a suspension, or a dismissal. It's not a position I envy him for being in right now. Although, there's really not much time left to feel sorry for him either. As soon as she's done roasting the other officers behind the guy, he gestures for me to follow him. straight towards the precinct's holding cells. Oh boy, man, I don't even know if I want to, I don't even know if I want to see Zach. This is heart-wrenching. This is definitely good writing. And that's the thing about this whole visual novel is, at least to me, it's been extremely unpredictable. We just never know. Like, there's been so many times where I've thought I've been able to predict something or know what's going to happen next, and I'm 180 degrees wrong. The writing has been very well done, and that's one reason I continue to read this. I mean, I started this visual novel, guys, back in January. Here it is, almost October, and I am still reading this visual novel. It's been great. I've enjoyed it, and it's getting really good right now. Part of me is tempted, guys. I know part of me is tempted to go ahead and cut this off right now in this tight moment to find out what's going to happen with Zach, because I know it would make people tune in, like the people that are watching the stream right now. I'm sure they would tune in when I do the next part, when I read the next chapter. And I do usually try to stop things after about an hour. It's already been almost an hour and a half. But guys, we are not going to leave this to the next part, to the next live stream of the Moonshine. We're going to find out what the hell's going on with Zach right now. And we'll end this stream probably pretty soon. But I got to know what's going to happen to Zach, because, yeah, I got to work today, and I can't be thinking about what the hell's going on with Zach in the visual novel The Letter while I'm trying to work. And Beth Boy Ever says, don't you dare end it right now. Visual novels are great at getting you attached and second guessing. This has been a really good one. This has definitely been one of the better visual novels I've read. And it's popular, guys. I'll say it a million times. I like Doki Doki Literature Club, the one that's infamously famous on Steam. It's free. Came out in, I think, 2015 or something like that. Doki Doki Literature Club. It's a horror visual novel. And everybody raves about it, and it has like hundreds of thousands of reviews. And I read that one, and I thought it was good. But it was nowhere as good as this one's been. Yeah, I'm loving The Letter. Alright, straight back towards the precinct's holding cells. So let's go. And it's as if a switch has been turned off. The moment he steps away from the small crowd, the entire main lobby just goes silent. For one reason or another, it feels like everyone's simply waiting for the metaphorical hammer to fall. Even their stares before we turn to an adjacent hallway exude the same pitying vibe as the Chief's. All of which I might have easily ignored any other day. People here can be a bunch of gossip mongers. It's only the significant glance Chief throws my way before pushing the door open that stops me. Not that there's any need to mull over it. Because the moment he swings it open, it strikes me. A sharp, dry, metallic scent. I've already grown familiar of it over the years. It's another one of those things you'll have to get used to once they start handing you the homicide cases. The smell of blood? That's what I'm thinking too, best boy, yeah. Now, just a whiff of it tells me enough for me to gauge the severity of the situation. This isn't the festering smell you get when someone in the room has a flesh wound. It lingers far too much in the air. It hangs far too heavily where I stand. This is more than just a small wound. Yikes. What the hell's going on with our buddy, man? No. This is what you get when someone has spilled blood all over the room. This is what you get when there's a large pool of it. Oh no. Oh man. This is what you get when no one bothers to clean it up for hours because the forensic work isn't done yet. This is what you get when there's most certainly a dead body somewhere. I don't want to think of the who yet. There are simply too many possibilities. Too many variables unaccounted for here to form a single conclusion right now. However, when the chief of Luxborn Police refuses to provide answers, a chill easily fills every nerve in my body. Almost in a trance, I follow after him without asking anything or saying another word. Listen to all the cameras going off in the background. You hear cameras and people taking pictures and stuff like that. Best Boy Ever says this is giving Danganronpa body discovery. Fresh out of training, newly instated, and still on my first homicide case, except I'd gotten back or balk at the idea of seeing a dead body back then. Now, as it flashes fleetingly from the far end of the hall, while the CSI documents of the scene and the forensics teams gather evidence, the only thing my instinct tells me is to frickin' run. As far from here as possible, even if I don't have 10 years of detective work under my belt. As if I don't have 10 years of detective work under my belt. It echoes inside my head like a mantra.
It's because you didn't listen.
Oh man.
It's all your fault. Why won't you believe me?
Over and over and over, rising and ebbing, a tidal wave of thoughts and murmurs surging and crashing against my ear. More deafening than the drum of my heartbeats and shallow gasps. Churning and heaving, till the cell finally comes into view and I'm afforded a clearer look of what's inside. Oh boy. Oh my god. Woo! Zach! No! The whole world stands still. Oh no, Zach. He got fucked up by that fucking zombie bitch. Oh jeez, while he's in a fucking protected, guarded cell at the Luxembourg Police Department. What the fuck? This is horrifying. Oh, I got chills on my arms. My hairs on my arms are up straight. I mean, I didn't know what was going on here, but this is... Oh, poor Zach. Part of me wants to cry right now. Oh, my God. In one single moment, every noise, every smell, every person in the room all ceases to matter. The second my eyes land on his prone form. This was honestly my favorite character in the whole visual novel. Man, I like this dude. He was such a good guy. Holy shit. There's only red. Red. Yeah. Red. The only thing I'm hoping and praying for, guys, at this moment is that I'm hoping and praying that Ash is still in that fucking bar in the back room and he actually went back to sleep and this is a nightmare, but I know that ain't the thing. Man. More red. Blood everywhere, on the floor, where a copious amount of it has pooled. On the wall, smeared in every crack and tile his hands can reach. On his face and shoulders, dripping away from every gash and tear, flowing from the hollow gap where his eyes should have been.
The custodial officer found him when they brought him breakfast. It was too late.
Oh, my fucking God. Poor Zach. And this is how all of them could wind up, like...
He was already dead by that time. Some 3 to 4 hours, according to the blokes from forensics.
Jesus Christ. So he died at like 4 in the morning or some shit. There had been a struggle based alone on the smear pattern left on the bars and the floor, but only so much as a small cell would allow him. I can already imagine how it went down. He was likely left with no other choice. Cornered, like an animal at the mercy of his killer. In this cell, there would have been no escape. The only thing he would have been able to do is to shout for help. Perhaps the same plea written on the floor closest to him. Help me. Help me. Just like the note, that's what the letter says. Remember? Help me 1,000,000 times in blood. Help me. Help that he didn't even get. Jesus Christ, I was not expecting that. And it calls for a whole lot of questions. Not the hows. Logic has already flown out the damn window from the start. She has the means to get to us. Yeah, anywhere. She has the means to get to him any fucking where. Get to all of us. Bars and walls, notwithstanding. The whys, though.
No one heard him? Not even one from the guys on duty last night?
Listen to poor Ash. He's about to burst into tears. Fuck, I feel like I'm about to burst into tears. I was really fond of Zach. God damn. Because Zach's not an idiot. He would have asked for help. he would have yelled.
Oh, one of them did, but thought nothing of it.
Then why didn't they do anything? He's just a room away!
Yeah, I mean, Ash has reason to be angry. That's his best fucking friend. And he's in, you would think, a very protected place, like the safest place in the whole goddamn city, and this happened to him. I'm not saying it's their fault, but, because this thing, I mean, this fucking evil zombie thing has powers, like, you know, that completely throw away anything probably the police department can do.
They must have assumed your friend's just asking for attention. Henry wasn't clear on the details when I questioned him about it.
Jesus.
You've been serving in this precinct for more than a decade, though. You should be aware by now how rowdy the folks we detain here can become. But that's not the only problem we have here.
Oh boy.
Someone got in and out of this place without anyone noticing. Even the surveillance footage is a bust.
Wow.
Tech's going over it now, but I don't think we'll get anything from it. The media will have a field day when they learn of this fray.
Well, probably who got in without any kind of field day is probably the fucking ghost bitch that killed him.
Keep it mum for now. I'll let you know because he's your... well, you deserve to know. The poor bloke's your friend, after all.
Yeah, not just my friend, my best friend.
I just don't want the commissioner hearing of this before I can tell him anything. Or at least, until we've figured out how the butcher got in.
Yeah, see, so obviously, his lieutenant here doesn't know, you know, or has probably heard stories of the haunted mansion and stuff like that, but there's just rumors to him. If Ash was to tell him that a fucking ghost killed his friend, yeah, he'd probably be laughed at and probably be cut from the force immediately. Best Boy ever says, eyes dug out, mouth hollowed out, tongue might be cut off. The next best thing is just on a bad ending route. Yeah. It looks like I am headed for a bad ending. Think this is an inside job?
What else can it be? It's either that or we have a damn good criminal mastermind walking this city.
Really, I want to say something. Yeah, don't say it. Don't say it, Ash. He won't believe you. I want to tell him that this isn't what he's thinking at all. That all this time, the Ansem Butcher never existed. This is a curse the people of this city have been laughing up for centuries. The way things are going, we'll simply find ourselves at a dead end. Chances are, they'll just have to find an innocent chap to blame for everything. Like what Wright did to Zach. A scapegoat for things they can't explain. But how am I supposed to tell anyone, let alone get them to believe my words? I'll sound like an idiot. They'll likely brush me off the same way I've done with Isabella's warnings. Yeah? In the end, clenching my fists to my sides and gritting my teeth is all I'm able to do. Zach's lifeless face stares back at me, and accusations in them, sharp and searing. That's guilt. That's guilt, my friend. An expression that etches itself deep within my mind. Once the first officer waves us both out of the room. Another ghastly image I will never be able to forget. Another memory I will probably haunt me until my last dying breath. Another regret. Ooh, in the afternoon on Monday, Chief dismisses me barely an hour later, sending me off with nothing but a light pat and another "I'm sorry" expression. I'm not entirely sure if that's supposed to be reassuring. There's plenty more to do. A lot of people to call and tell, and all of it falls on me. Yeah, I would not envy his position having to go back and tell Rebecca and Isabella what happened to Zach. Isabella is going to break down in tears. And that's going to be heartbreaking. I can already tell. No matter how awful the news I bring will be, it'll be better if this comes from a person his family and friends know. Still, my body refuses any notion of movement. The thought of telling Rebecca and Isabella about this, it will both upset them. I don't even want to imagine what his grandparents will say. They're good, kind, warm-hearted people who have given me another family even without me asking for it. They've welcomed me, invited me every time, easily reminded me of what having a whole home feels like. I thought I've already forgotten it. Zach's older sister will definitely show up at my apartment, though, ring my doorbell and punch me as soon as I open the door, just like the last time. And she's right. I'm the kind of person who brings nothing but trouble. She's known all along that Zach should have stopped hanging out with me. She's even warned him several times. Zach has often laughed her concerns off. I used to think it's because she enjoys the friendship, or because he enjoys the friendship as much as I do, despite a huge part of it going unspoken between us throughout the years. And now Zach's dead. I thought I had more time. I thought he'd be safe there. I just acted too late. And in the deafening silence of my car, the only thing I'm able to do is close my eyes, rest my forehead against the cold surface of the steering wheel, and just scream. He's gonna break down crying, probably. Scream until my throat bleeds raw. Scream until my lungs burn. Scream until all that remains are guilt and tears. Yep, he broke down in tears. Whew! Man. Good shit. Back in the bar. The sun hangs lower when I drive back to the pub and drag myself inside. Still too unsure how to break the news. Around this time, the patrons usually start to trickle in to the main lounge until it reaches a peak around midnight. Day, however, it remains thin. But considering what day it isn't too worrisome for the kind of business G runs here. He has always complained about the lack of a decent crowd on the week start, although he doesn't really begrudge his customers for it. Yeah, it's a Monday night. No one wants to start the week with a bad case of a hangover after all, not even him. Which makes the concerned look he gives me come off a bit too cold. With the kind of danger we're in, after what happened to Zach, this swiftly puts me on the edge, even before I can fully process and analyze the scene in front of me.
Something wrong, G?
G hums, but there's an undertone of annoyance in it despite his casual and open movements. And only after he finishes wiping a tumbler and carefully settles it face down on the table does he give me an answer. The way he stares back at me honestly makes me squirm. It feels like I'm being stared down by my primary school teacher for sleeping in class again.
Nothing much. Monday's still a slow day for this place. But you might want to check on your friends, kid.
You might want to check on your friends, kid. Oh my god, not more. Not more. What's going on now, dude?
Looks like one of them woke up on the wrong side of the bed while you were out.
Oh boy. Another question forms in my head along with a small, confused frown. Though before a single syllable slips past my mouth, Rebecca's irate voice rings out from some part of the main lounge. From the sound of it, it appears to woke up on the wrong side of the bed is a complete understatement.
Alone? You know we can't just go in there. Why did you think Ash stopped me yesterday?
But we don't have any other choice, Becca! There's really no other way! We have to go there! If you'll just...
Isabella, no.
That doesn't sound too comforting. Once Rebecca assumes that kind of tone in an argument with Isabella, it usually ends with one of them walking out or both giving the other the silent treatment. It lasts for about a week at most, if it's really bad, which really isn't what we need right now. I've hoped the bad blood from this morning will simply boil over after all of us has gotten a decent rest. Turns out sleep isn't just what some of us need. When G appears to understand it, even G appears to understand it, in spite of his efforts to look as unconcerned as possible, there's a tense set on his shoulders. A nervous edge lingers in his eyes, as it occasionally flickers over where Rebecca and Isabella's voices are coming from. He doesn't even want to deal with this, especially at the start of another busy week. Neither do I. Things have worked out well between them before without Zach or I meddling. But the imploring gaze G directs at me leaves me with no other choice. It almost feels like he's guilting me into doing something about it. I hate that it's working.
You know how I run this pub, kid. No fist fights, no cat fights, only good booze, bad puns, and off-key singing. Go fix it before it blows up in your faces. I'd hate to throw two girls out of this place over a petty argument.
Hey, it's probably not as petty if Rebecca's already shouting like that, but I give him a nod nevertheless.
Sorry about this, G.
He hums something under his breath for an answer and waves me off, turning away and returning to his work without another word. Even with the lack of a sizable crowd, he likes to keep busy. We're in the same regard. Can't remain still, always has to stay moving, doing something, thinking, whatever keeps the brain at work. I leave him to it shortly after. Rebecca's voice rings out once again, followed by Isabella's. But part of me wants to thank him for all the trouble he has taken for people he barely even knows. Once this is over, I should probably find some way to thank him. In the meantime, I have this immediate problem to fix. Gotta get to this before it turns into a shitstorm both of them are gonna regret. And I know both of them will. For all of Isabella's complaints about Rebecca's bossy attitude, or how annoying Rebecca sometimes finds the other's childlike demeanor, it's a friendship they both cherish in their own ways. Oh boy. Rebecca's already on her feet when I spot them in an almost deserted area of the pub. I'm willing to bet my entire life savings that people are staying away only because of the brewing storm. Yeah, he's probably right there. Rebecca can have quite the mood when she's cross. I can't speak for Isabella. I rarely ever see her seething. But from what I've seen yesterday, I don't think I ever want to be at the messy end of it. The way she's glaring up at the redhead from her seat, regardless of how much the other woman towers over her right now, already says everything. Empty plates have been left piled in one corner of a table they occupy. A conversation that turns sour sometime after a late lunch, then. Good thing they're already done and nothing's left to be spilled. Oh god. Because in the next moment, before I can approach and intervene, Rebecca slams her palm on the table. It sends the silverware clanking sharply against the surface. Isabella flinches momentarily. They both do. Though she shows no indication of surrendering in the face of Rebecca's temper. Everything escalates from there. Oh boy, that's why you're there, Ash.
You've already gotten us in enough trouble because of this let a ghost everything.
You're blaming me again!
And you can't expect everyone to fix your mess.
You keep on putting the blame on me, but you're the one who didn't listen. All of you!
Isabella's right, and Rebecca needs to quit throwing the blame around.
If you just listened in the first place, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But you're too busy acting like you know what's best for everyone, when in fact you're the one who's being selfish.
Yeah?
I'm the one who's selfish. Yet you're still going to do what you want anyway, even if the people around you are already beside themselves with worry. This is how you've always acted since we met, and I'm tired of it. Sometimes I wish you never even came here, because all you've given us is a headache.
You know why I had to come here. My dad.
Your dad has nothing to do with this.
Wow. Wow, this is harsh words.
It has always been you and your whiny, careless self that has always been the problem.
Maybe I should have stepped in earlier. Maybe I should have said something the moment Rebecca had slammed the flat of her hand on the table, or the second I entered the area here. Either way, it's too late to act. Harsh words have already been hurled between the two of them. Words more cutting than any blade, each and every one of it digging a wound too deep in the person they've been aimed at. For a long time, Isabella sits there in silence while Rebecca stands unmoving, arms crossed and breathing heavily. Despite the lack of words between them, They're both vibrating with anger, refusing to meet the other one's eyes. Ever so slowly, the atmosphere in the room turns thick and smothering. A strained air no one in the immediate vicinity, including me, dares to break, until the ones at its center does so. Rebecca definitely won't. At some point in our friendship, she has grown to become a woman firm with her opinions. She's never going to back down from this, not when she knows that she has a point. Isabella, on the other hand, there has always been a certain stubbornness in her. As frustrating as it is to see sometimes, it's what has gotten her through life's hardships. Perhaps the only thing that has. When you have nothing else, people tend to cling to what they have within themselves instead. But she also knows when to withdraw, when a struggle turns useless. A kind of awareness, almost second nature to her. When enough is enough, Isabella abruptly stands and marches towards the exit, in fast, rigid steps, away from the hurt and painful words they've let fly earlier. She bumps into me in her haste, the impact suddenly knocking her off her feet. Instinct kicks in at the last moment, and I reach out for her, grabbing her arm in a steadying grip. Surprise flits across her face, an expression mirrored by Rebecca behind her. Neither of them have even noticed me. Man. Wow, now we gotta make, this is gonna be one of those important choices, kind of like the choice we had to make to save Rebecca. However, that doesn't mean I won't have things to say about this. Take Isabella's side or agree with Rebecca? No, we're not going to agree with Rebecca because, first of all, we know that Ash has stronger feelings for Isabel. We've read that. But not only, regardless, let's say that his feelings were even for both of them. I mean, he has strong feelings for both of them. He obviously is great friends with both of them. He's known Rebecca since they were kids. But it's not even about who he likes more or anything like that. It's about who's right and who's wrong. And it seems like Rebecca is just doing nothing but throwing out guilt. Or not guilt, but blame. She's throwing out blame on Isabel, and she's been doing it for a long time. And this is not the time for that. This is a time when you need to come together, not be throwing out, vitriol and blame and accusations. This isn't Isabella's fault. This whole thing isn't Isabella's fault. The fact that there's a freaking node out there and, that this is just horrifying. The fact that this zombie bitch and this curse that has happened, it's not Isabella's fault. How the hell is it Isabella's fault? But Rebecca keeps saying it's Isabella's fault. So, if I have to make a choice here, I'm going to take Isabella's side. 100%.
You okay?
Relationship status updated. Let's take a look. Boy, Rebecca's relationship going down, and we are through the roof with Isabella. I'm not sure this is going to do us any good, though. I'm surprised I have any relationship at all with Luke. I'm surprised there's anything there. I'm surprised it's not completely empty, to be honest. You okay? Rather than answer, once her shock subsides, she merely averts her gaze and hastily wipes the tears off her cheeks, like she only noticed them in that moment. Then, without another word or even meeting my eyes again, she then gently brushes away my hand and runs off, leaving an awkward hush in her wake. Rebecca soon slumps in the chair. Isabella has just left, gingerly reaching up to press the bridge of her nose and breathing out a ragged exhale. Arguments like this have always drained both her patience and energy, usually more than her rowdy students do, despite being no stranger to it. It's no excuse for her to say those things, though, and my disapproval must be clear enough on my face. When she finally glances back at me, her exhaustion immediately shifts back to annoyance, her mouth curving down into a tight frown. I cross my arm in response, waiting, a reaction verging on instinctive in the face of her irritation. Regardless of my opinions about this, I don't say anything yet, not until she's the one willing to talk. Another minute passes while we stare each other down, but eventually she breathes out again and relaxes her rigid posture.
What do you want, Ash? If you have something to say, just tell me, or I'm going back upstairs.
Did you really have to say it like that?
Well, how do you want me to answer her? Do you want me to just let her go there and do what she wants? I know you won't be too happy if I did that.
That's a low blow, Rebecca. Even for you. We all know she wasn't even planning on staying here this long. There was no need to bring it up if all you wanted to do was stop her.
Did you even see how she's acting? She's not a child anymore. Even my students can do better.
Wow.
Becca, she'll listen if you'll just ask her properly. I know you mean well and you do have a point, but please be a little more thoughtful next time. Go think about it for a while.
And by some miracle, the whole discussion ends right there. Rebecca elects to stay silent, or at least it's how it seems. For a minute or two passes and she says nothing. A rare occurrence when she almost always has something on her mind. Only an uneasy atmosphere hangs in the air when I finally decide to remove myself from the room. She doesn't stop me. Instead, something inexplicable flickers momentarily in her eyes, one that quickly disappears until only a vague notion of it remains in memory. But in that one exchange, I've caught a short, clear glimpse of what has shifted, of what is inevitable. So much has changed throughout the years. We will never be the same person we once were. And if that's for the better, we've yet to know. Damn! A lull has descended in the main lounge once I return. G's nowhere to be seen. People continue to trickle out instead of in, and by the time I get back, only 2 tables remain occupied. Soon, these people too will be gone, and the whole place will be devoid of anyone. Frankly, its current state already lends the place to an entirely different vibe entirely. Along with the soothing strum of strings and the steady beat of drums playing overhead, there's a calming sense to this. A far cry from times I've been here before. And perhaps it's for this reason why Isabella has chosen this place to retreat. She sits quietly in the furthest corner of the room, in one of the tables set right beside the windows. G usually keeps the curtains closed around this hour, but a small portion of it has been pulled back, revealing the busy streets outside. The late afternoon light spills right through it, outlining her small form and pooling on the surface of the table, where both her arms rest. She's got the letter out, huh? In her hands, she flips a piece of folded paper, turning it from side to side to the other without any real purpose. That letter. A small frown creases her forehead while she stares at it, yet there's something oddly tranquil in the picture she has unknowingly painted. Something I can't bring myself to discern, if only for just a few seconds. It's one of those moments again. The rare ones. The ones where she's too still, too quiet. A complete opposite of her usual self. But it's these that often leave a mark. Not her cheery disposition of her lively attitude, but these short few seconds of wordless silence, when the softest sighs and the slightest movements seem louder. The smallest minuscule things that tell you about the person and her strength more than any words can express. It's these that carve a vivid memory, no matter how brief it lasts. He glares at me, annoyed, and just like that, all of it melts away. Gone is the stillness, replaced quickly by the teasing and friendly jibes. Back again to what we're used to, what's easy, what's familiar, where every truth we hope to convey regrettably goes unsaid between us.
You're going to destroy an important piece of evidence if you keep doing that, Belle.
And she's far from angry. A bit upset, maybe? Who wouldn't be? While I do agree with Rebecca, her words still hit below the belt. Regardless, Isabella doesn't seem like she'll start shouting at me. At least compared to every other people I've aggravated, intentional or otherwise. Some light talk may just do the trick and coax her out of this mood.
Come on. If you keep staring at the table like that, you're going to bore a hole on it. I really don't want to OG a new table. He'll pick the most expensive one and leave me begging on the streets.
She levels a quick glance at me, her expression dry and impassive enough to drain every color out of the room. It's as if I just told her a terrible joke and she's expecting there will be more of it. Really now? He needs to give me more credit than that. My jokes are funny when I want them to be.
And I really don't care. I'd even take pictures and post them online. Go away, Ash. I don't want to talk right now.
Yet it sounds half-hearted at best. Like what's happening has already sapped every bit of energy in her, and all that's left are the words. Pretty soon, those two will lose their meaning and leave a hollow shell in their wake. It's already unusual to see her like this. Everything has already gone to shit. I'd like at least this one thing to just stay normal. But somehow we manage. We continue for the better half of the hour, talking, joking, with her short, feeble responses and banter that never goes anywhere. But it's enough. In the grand scheme of things, amidst the chaos and death shadowing over us, it's these little inconsequential moments that matter. Yeah, I think that's a little bit of foreshadowing, guys. I'm afraid to say it. Death shadowing over us. I think with the choices I've made and the path I've taken in this visual novel, I think they're all doomed. The fact that they're fighting like this and tearing apart at the seams, such close friendships over all these years. I mean, yeah, something like this could tear a family or friendships apart. But the fact that they are splitting and fighting and tearing each other to the core with words and arguments, that's not a good sign. And I think even Ash said it earlier, that maybe that's what this spirit thing wants them to do. It's waiting for them to separate so that it can single-handedly take each one of them out, just as it did with Zach when Zach was alone, even in the protection of the Luxborn Police Department. I'm scared. I'm scared that all of them are going to get killed. I don't see a path that's going to save any of them right now, and that sucks. It's her smile, her laughter, when it finally rings easy and free of her burdens.
Okay, I have another one.
I don't want to hear it, Ashton. Go away.
No, really, listen. I know someone who talks like an owl.
Will you leave me alone if I bite and ask who?
A pause. And then she frowns as realization slowly dawns on her. Confusion flashes fleetingly across her face before eventually settling on a grimace.
Oh.
Suddenly, she hugs her arms closer to herself and looks away, perhaps in her best attempt to stay angry. To no avail. In a matter of seconds, her shoulders shake with laughter she's trying to contain.
You're awful, and I really hate you. just leave.
I like that. Well, Ash is good. He knew how to get her to laugh in that really bad and awkward moment where Isabella and Rebecca just had a huge fight, maybe the biggest fight ever. And blame was again scolded onto Isabella by Rebecca. Ash was able to come in and make her laugh, so that's a refreshing moment anyway. It's contagious, her mirth. Soon, I'm joining her in on it, briefly forgetting every problem that has piled up and continues to weigh down on us. Laughing without reservation or care until only a familiar warmth lingers, once both our amusement ebbs away. Somehow, with her, these things have always come easy.
Feeling better?
A little. You're still lame.
But you're laughing right now.
Only because your humor is terrible.
Right. Keep telling yourself that. I know it's funny. And you know what? If you've kept frowning like that, your face might have cracked. That would have been really messy and ugly.
If glares can kill with the one she sends my way, I'd probably be dead by now. Seeing it directed my way, it only takes a few quick seconds for me to realize how she might have also taken my statement. How wrong and rude it might have sounded in her ears, however unintentional it is. I've never been good with words, but that's never an acceptable excuse, is it? Suddenly, taking the brunt of her anger seems less complicated than correcting or explaining myself. Nevertheless, I give it a try.
What? Crap. Damn it, that was so not what I meant. I was just saying you look better when you're smiling.
I love how it's all written together, like no spaces or anything like that. Her glare doesn't even wane. In fact, I think it intensified, like the brewing storm. In the face of it, under the sharpness of her stare and her annoyance, I do what any person with a good sense of self-preservation does. Keep my mouth shut and shift my attention elsewhere. The crowd outside looks very interesting today. Maybe I should...
Thanks, Ash.
He utters all of it in a voice too small and too quiet. But when I turn to her, only those words and her gratitude resonate throughout the whole room. Not the soft clanking of silverware somewhere, nor the last strains of music fading into the silence above us. Instead, it's the meaning behind her gaze, as she holds mine that lingers. Steady, unflinching, and open, in the same way she looked at me all those years ago, with bright eyes and an expression softening into a tender smile. I didn't understand it then. How easy it is for her to wear her heart on her sleeve. How she never shies away from expressing herself, even among people she barely even knows. How she can go through everything without losing herself. And now it's among the hundreds or the thousands that hang unspoken between us. Trivial little things with worth still too big to put into words. Either because it's too early, or because there's never really a proper time. For now, though, this'll do. Until the moment itself dwindles. Until reality pulls us back in, reminding us of the things that we've set aside in its favor.
Isabella, about what happened with Rebecca earlier.
I should probably apologize to Becca. I know she only means well. And I said some really bad things.
The corners of her mouth quirks up, almost as if she's too ashamed of the things she said.
Don't worry, she can be pretty stubborn, but she'll listen. Especially to you.
Yeah. I think he's right.
You think?
Because Zach won't be with us anymore.
Well, man, he said that? That isn't what I'm reading here. What? It says here you're one of the few people she likes. Why did I just hear that? I mean, that's obviously on his mind, and he knows he has to tell her that Zach's gone, but... And that's gonna... I mean, why would you say that at this very moment? This moment that is almost pristine? I think I would wait a little bit. So I don't know what the hell he said, because the words I just heard don't match the words on the screen. So...
She won't stay angry for long. I can vouch for it.
Okay. I think that was a bug in the game, to be honest, guys. I don't think he actually said that. She has a point, though. Isabella freezes. In an instant, the pleasant air around us dissipates. She shifts her attention back to her hands again, both clenched so tightly that her knuckles visibly pale.
I know, Ash.
Yeah, he obviously didn't tell her that Ash is gone, or she would be breaking down in sobs, probably.
I just thought we'd find something in there. That if I go back, we'll get the answers we need. I found the letter there, so maybe, right?
She wants to go back to the mansion. It's not that I don't agree with her. Hell, I've been considering the same thing. It's the only lead we have, after all. But Rebecca also has a point that I will always agree with, no matter how desperate I am. It's not going to be simple and a simple walk in the park. Who knows what we might find in there? If she comes with me, I won't be able to guarantee her safety. Maybe she'll even be in greater danger. Hence, alone. If there's a need to go back to that accursed place, I'm doing it on my own. Whether or not the rest of them agree with this plan is inconsequential. I don't know if going there alone is smart. That's exactly the path that Zach took. And look what happened to Zach. He got beat up by the butler, he got thrown in freaking jail, and then the thing got him in the prison cell. Their well-being is my top priority, and I'm not just about to drag them in there with me. So I tell her as much, despite the determination and desperation in her eyes. Anything to keep her safe. It's dangerous. I think he's just going to say it's dangerous. I honestly think that they need to go in there together, because I think if they split up, I think if Ash tries to do it himself, I think if any of them try to be a hero and do this themselves, I think it's going to lead to the same path for them that Zach just had. And that's horrifying. So I think I'm just going to say it's dangerous, even though I kind of think this is more the plausible thing that Ash would say. I think I'm going to try to reroute him in this choice to just remind her that it's dangerous.
Forget it, Belle. You're not going back to that mansion.
But Ash, what about...
This isn't up for debate. Do you really think they'll just let you in?
Hopefully her relationship didn't go down. No, I don't think so. You think they're just going to let you in?
Do you really think they'll give a damn if you walk in there carrying that stupid letter of all things?
Yeah, he's got a point there.
No, but there has to be something we can tell them. Ash, they were with me during the open house. They have to know. They're in as much trouble as we are. They're living in that place. That ghost woman came from there. Both her and the letter. Something's in that house, Ash. And whatever it hides might be the only thing that'll get us out of this mess.
I kind of agree that the answer probably is going back to the mansion where it all started.
All right. Suppose you do find an answer there. What happens? Let's say that by some dumb luck, you got inside and found something. I don't even have to bring up what they did to Zach. In fact, what they'll do to you is the least of our problems. What if you see her again? What if she goes after you? What are you going to do?
It's not like we have any other choice. Besides, I'm pretty sure you've already thought of the same thing. Admit it.
That doesn't mean I'm going to let you run straight into trouble. What you're planning to do is risky for you. Give it up, Isabella. Zach's already gone, and if you...
So he did already tell her about Zach? Zach's already gone? Realization comes way too late, and my throat closes up as soon as I realize when it's just slipped out of my mouth. Now is the moment. So he slipped up, and this is how she finds out. She's going to be like, what? What do you mean Zach's gone? There was supposed to be a speech, damn it. Words carefully picked to ease people into the idea, especially her, who has always seen Zach as a decent older brother that she never had as her own family. This isn't going to be good. And the way her expression shifts from terror to disbelief and then to anguish makes the horrible lump in my throat feel more unpleasant. There's a sorrow in it, a palpable enough as the meaning of what I've said sinks in. A pain I can't even hope to understand. One that we'll all deal with in our own ways. I can't even bring myself to look her straight in the eye now. Unexpectedly, Isabella merely clams up. No resistance. No further argument like I've come to expect from her. She doesn't even shed a single tear. Uncharacteristic. Just a silence that stretches far too thin until the air in the whole room grows awkward and suffocating. Man, a standstill that'll get us nowhere. Although, if there's one thing our talk has wonderfully succeeded at, it's making me feel like a total asshole and a hypocrite. And I am considering my plans tonight. Sure, I can tell her, but what good is it going to do? I do intend to tell G before leaving tonight. He has to know if he's going to be keeping an eye on them for me. One person is already enough, though. Hell, simply telling someone I'm in on the plan makes me feel iffy. Broadening that circle and revealing too much would just cause another pointless concern. But someone has to be aware, at least of where I'm heading off to, just in case. In case things don't pan out, expect the worst, even if I've only intended to do a quick survey of the place. In my own words, it's risky. Isabella doesn't need to be burdened with the whole worry my entire scheme entails. I'd like to think that yes, to some extent she does understand, even if she does not entirely agree with me. The dilemma is clear in her. Otherwise, her scowl wouldn't have a deeper set in it, her lips wouldn't be pressed in a thin line, or her hand would no longer be balled into fists. She would have pushed that argument. If she doesn't, and I know she has no lack of things to say. Maybe it's because she has already heard the same stuff from Rebecca. Maybe my words have made her come to her senses. Either way, it's best that we simply leave it here for now. I've already said enough. I stand up as soon as footsteps shuffle from the next room, its cadence slow and hesitant. Shortly, Rebecca comes into view, clutching her hands firmly in front of her, and sporting the same uncertainty in her face. She casts me a cursory look, and then shifts a nervous one to Isabella, who studies her with an almost hopeful gleam in her eye. Their fights never did last long.
Belle, can we talk?
Aww.
Alone?
Her interruption could not have come sooner, and I'm all the more glad for it. Whatever kind of friendship I share with the two, this remains something for only the two of them. Very much like my own with Zach. I'm the outsider here, and they don't need me here. It's all the reason I need. Muttering an excuse, I beat a hasty exit out of the main lounge, and leave them to mend things all on their own. Before Isabella can say what she'd been mulling over, before the last imploring glance she directs my way forces me to change my mind. It's another lasting image that firmly etches itself in my memory. One that spurs the conscience, among other things. I just hope I won't regret what I've chosen for myself tonight. Galway Shaw's Monday night crowd, although small and barely occupies a quarter of the whole pub, provides ample enough cover for anyone who wishes to leave the place unnoticed. Just exactly what I need tonight, with the lively music and chatter slipping out, mostly unseen, becomes a piece of cake. But without much trouble, soon enough, I find myself standing outside under the chilly Luxembourg night. A gust of wind picks up shortly after I step out, carrying the telltale smell of impending rain. I give it about an hour or two before it starts. And from the looks of it, tonight will be another heavy downpour, maybe even stronger than the one we had this morning. On instinct, I hunch further into my jacket, hugging its thick material closer to my body while I weave my way through the lines of empty cars in the parking lot. The letter crinkles in my pocket with each step I take, though I pay no mind as I hurry towards my car. I've nicked it minutes ago from Isabella's belongings on my way out. If this is all connected, I need this damn piece of paper with me. However ridiculous as it sounds, I'm quite sure it won't be missed either. But I can't waste time here, and I wait for her to find out, can I? For hours is all I'm giving myself to get this done. Jesus, I can't read. 4 hours is all I'm giving myself to get this done. Regardless of how generous it is, each second is just as important as the next. So I hurry, one footstep over the other, echoing as I make a beeline for my car. But as with every plan, problems crop up at the last second. It's particularly a universal rule. And it does. Oh boy. In the form of a lone figure waiting for me next to my car. Rebecca turns just as I near, the corners of her mouth twitching up in a wry smile. She offers no greeting, except for a slight tilt of her head. Even as my pace slows and I look at her with the unvoiced questions in my eyes, she remains wordless, merely throwing her head back and shifting her attention up at the starless sky. When I come up to stand beside her, I thought she was in the bar having a mending chat with Isabella over their fight. I'm surprised to find her out by his car. It's weird. Another gust of wind blows as she breathes out a sigh, weary, thick, with something close to resignation. The breeze carries all of it away while she hugs her arms closer to herself to keep herself warm. Which raises the question of why the hell she's out here. Yeah, I'm wondering too. The air is already heavy with the promise of rain. With clouds obscuring the view, there's really nothing left to look at but a dark blanket of nothingness. Still, she stands here as if she's intentionally waiting for everything to fall. That, or she's here for some other reason. But before I can voice a single word, express disapproval of any kind, she raises a halting hand at me, sharply cutting off the rest of my question.
I'm not here to stop you. Wherever it is you're planning to go off tonight, I won't be able to anyway. You look like you've already made up your mind.
Go back inside. It's going to rain soon. It'll probably be even heavier than the downpour we had this morning. You wouldn't want to be caught in it.
I will, in a moment. I just want to stay out here a bit for some air, away from the noise inside. Everything's been so chaotic these days. This little break is nice. Even if it means standing in the middle of a parking lot, of all places. Getting out of this mess would definitely be better, but hey, you take what you can get, right?
It'll be over soon.
The confidence in my own words surprises even me. How do I know? How the hell can I be so sure? When in truth, what I'm about to do is a last-ditch effort. If this fails, if I don't find anything, we're going to be right back to square one. It's the last lead I have. After this, we have nothing else to go off of. Regardless, it seems to amuse her, and her laughter soon sounds above the murmur of the distant traffic and the light draft sweeping around us.
How I wish. I'll be content as long as she stops showing up in my mind whenever I close my eyes.
Yeah, no shit.
I think that may take some time. The brain doesn't easily forget trauma.
Exactly.
I can try. But, you know, it also did a lot to us.
Tell me about it. The back of my head's still smarting from my fall last night.
Not that kind. I'm talking about us. As people. I hate to admit it, but this whole deal with the ghost, with the curse, it also brought out an ugly side to us. To all of us.
For sure. I gotta say, guys, that I didn't expect this. They were falling apart just 20 minutes ago or whatever. Like, we have seen them starting their friendship, starting to split at the very seams, and it seemed like Rebecca and Isabella got into, like, their biggest fight ever with cutting words, as even Ash said, words that cut so deep that he didn't know if they would ever recover from it. And I thought they were falling apart. So maybe somewhere along the line, maybe I made a choice to stand up for Isabella or whatever that made things, I don't know. But it's refreshing to see that they're starting to come back together, because I really do think that's their only chance. So this is definitely a good sign, I think. You know, not having them all pissed off at each other and tearing each other apart with words.
And it made me realize plenty of things.
Yeah, that things like this make people look ugly and show their ugly side.
About myself. About us.
Rebecca trails off. Suddenly a pensive expression spreads across her face. I've seen it countless of times before. And every time I see it on her, it's usually followed by a memory. A silly story or even something embarrassing I've said from childhood. Unlike me, who will much rather forget, he remembers each and every one of them so easily. And after a short bout of silence, when she smiles, I know this is one of those times yet again.
Do you remember that one time back in secondary?
Oh boy.
Which one? We did a lot of dumb things back then. Well, I did, but you get the point.
Mandy.
I thought you still don't like her. Don't tell me you've kept in contact with her. Are you guys friends now or something?
Oh no. We do see each other sometimes. On the way to work or when I go out for lunch, but it's nothing like that. We're not friends. Not in this lifetime. I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
I don't think we'll ever get along, but if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be friends, yeah?
Hmm.
You stood up for me that day. And from then on, things have changed.
The Ash is good. He stood up for her when someone named Mandy was bullying her or something. Anyway, Ash stood up for her when they were kids, and ever since they've been friends. He makes it sound like I'm some sort of a hero. Mandy was in the wrong. Of course I'll defend her. If no one's going to stand up for her, who else will? And just like Ash made the decision to stand up for Isabel when Rebecca and Isabella were in a fight, Ash stood up for, and I made a choice to stand up for the person I thought was, needed defending. It wasn't her. But it's making her remember that Ash stood up for her back when she needed to be, defended. Chances are, it would have escalated, and who knows, maybe she would have stopped going to school or even transferred away. Any decent human being worth an ounce of sense should know better. I acted because I know what I'm doing is what's right. It's as simple as that. Yet she smiles as if it's worth more than that. A fondness that goes beyond nostalgia.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, this time, I don't want this to go unsaid. Just in case something happens.
Aw, she's gonna dump some big words on him. This is heartwarming.
Ash.
This is what she wanted to say in that alternate ending when we was playing Rebecca's point of view, when she called him before she stepped off the edge. And she wanted to tell him, I think she wanted to tell him I love you. And she couldn't do it. But maybe she's gonna say it here. I think she does love him.
I've always been
Yep.
in love with you.
Wow, that's cool. She says it so plainly, holding my gaze in a voice too frank, that her admission stuns me into a silence. Wow, that brings a tear to my eyes, guys. It really does. I think that's the first tear that's been brought to my eyes this whole visual novel. And that's big, because this visual novel has really developed the characters really well to the point where something like this is massive. I just hope he doesn't, completely dismiss it or say we're just friends or, I don't know. Like the wind has suddenly been knocked out of me in one fell swoop. I mean, this isn't the time or the place when he's getting ready to go to this haunted mansion to try to resolve everything. This isn't the time or the place to bring words that big on a lifetime of friendship upon this poor guy. But, I think anybody that's ever loved somebody in a romantic way, I think anybody that's ever been there completely understands why Rebecca, who's probably scared that he might lose his life here, that it might all end horribly, like it did for Zach. I think anybody that's ever loved somebody would completely respect and understand why Rebecca wanted to tell him that she loves him before it all goes bad, before it all, one of them dies or both of them die. Because there is still that fear in all of them that this is the end. I think that's so bittersweet. It's heartwarming, and it's what brought tears to my eyes here. Yeah, that's awesome. So, obviously, Ash didn't expect this. I didn't expect this to happen right here, especially right here. But it has, and she said the words. What's his reaction going to be? Ooh, wow. Guys, with that, this has been a very long stream. We're going to give you guys a reason to come back and watch part 25, live stream on the Moonshine number 317, when we find out what Ash's reaction is to probably the words he's never heard in his whole life from female. He's probably never heard the words "I love you" from another female. A longtime friend. How is he going to react? Is he going to react in a way that'd be like, What the heck, Rebecca? You can't say this now. We're just friends. How could you say something like this at this point in time? We're just friends. You're going to ruin our friendship. Or might he be responding in a way that's much more intimate? That's something we're going to find out right at the very start of the next part of the letter. I look forward to it, guys. It's going to get me to tune in, or not tune in. It's going to get me to stream it sooner, and hopefully get you guys to tune in to the next part of the letter and find out what Ash's reaction is to being told that Rebecca not just likes him, not just cares about him, but she's been in love with him, and probably for a long, long time. What's his reaction going to be? Tune in next time on LiveStream on the Moonshine number 317. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next video.